I've had a couple of days to think about this now, and I think I disagree that this truck is a convertible. I think the bridge decided that it wanted to identify as a can opener. And quite honestly, it's pretty convincing. Pretty good. But that's not what we are going to talk about today. Today, we're going to talk about why Pierre Poilievre just can't stop winning. It's like he can see into the brain of the Supreme Court and Mark Carney and just can't help himself. Gotta win. Gotta win again. You imagine if this man was prime minister? May 4th, 2026, and yeah, I'm just gonna say it. I don't care about Pierre Poilievre's security clearance. There's a lot more important things in this country to worry about than what Pierre Poilievre is allowed to talk about and what he isn't. I mean, I don't care about his clearance, not even a little bit. Don't care. Doesn't matter if that's the hill you want to die on. That's fine. You can do whatever you want. This is a free country. And if you want to limit what you can say, that's just fine with me. I would rather have an opposition leader who is free to blow the whistle and is at no risk of being jailed by the Supreme Court of Canada just for doing his job. See, on May 1st, 2026, the Supreme Court of Canada ruled to remove parliamentary privilege for MPs handling confidential intelligence and now requires Prime Minister level approval for disclosures to the public. That means that MPs who want to publicly push back on the Prime Minister have to ask the Prime Minister's permission to do that if the information they have is confidential and they use it in the wrong way. See how that might complicate things. But this is why Pierre wins. He just wins and he just keeps winning. I know people hate that he keeps winning, but he does keep winning. And that was why I'd rather enjoy him as the leader of the Conservative Party and Prime Minister in waiting, no matter how much noise is generated that says he's not winning. He's absolutely winning. You can't stop Pierre from winning. He just wins. That's what Pierre does. Just an unstoppable train of continuous winning. Listen, I know this is confusing. I get it. Why wouldn't a sitting MP on the official opposition party of Canada, the leader of the opposition party of Canada, want someone to put duct tape over his mouth and threaten him with handcuffs as he said the wrong thing while calling out the manufactured majority of a government that hates him just for doing his job better than anyone else in the history of Canada has ever done? It is very strange that someone whose entire political relevance rests on his freedom to speak freely when poking holes in the policies and processes of the people who would probably prefer he was either silent or in jail. It's a strange thing. I understand this is something that's very hard to understand, but let me put it that who among you wouldn't like to live under the sword of Damocles weighing the legal ramifications of every word you ever said, every moment of every day? None. None of you. None of you would want to do that. Not a single one. In fact, if anyone criticizing Pierre refusing the security clearance was hit with a speech resistant order as strong as that clearance, while being expected to put up a fight against a bunch of backdoor dealing douchebags, they'd be firing up TikTok for a 75 epo dissertation on the importance of free speech for government officials. And that's because they would be retarded enough to get the clearance. Yes. Yes, I said I can say it again if you like. We're more than a minute in now. I can use unparliamentary language now, accepting speech limitations while running the official opposition to a group of bad actors is absolutely ridiculous. In fact, the only thing more retarded than doing that is pretending like you don't understand why he didn't get the clearance, because to not understand why he didn't get the clearance is to basically admit that you are openly retarded, proudly damaged. I mean, you can take that personally if you want, but I don't even really know any of your names. So I guess you can consider it a blanket statement, or you can take it personally. That's really up to you. It's totally up to you. This is a free country. Take it however you want. But that's one of the reasons I do things the way I do them. You can treat this like news all you want. It's not news. It's not news. It's satire. Satire. And because of that, if you take it seriously, that's because you're stupid and can't read the channel description, or you're just being an asshole and like to try to damage reputations that are protected by wall upon wall of concrete insulation designed specifically to keep you out of the inner sanctum. I know that's unpleasant, but it's also reality, so you might want to try to engage with it. In fact, you might even say that I don't care. Feelings don't actually enter the conversation when it comes to making good decisions. So if Pierre not doing what you say because it helps him do his job hurts your feelings, I'm not sure I care about that. And I'm almost certain he doesn't care about that either. I'm sure he cares more about your feelings than I do, but I mean, it's a spectrum. And that's why Pierre will keep winning, no matter how many times you try to box him into a spot where he can't win anymore without you saying he should be able to. Actually, the refusal to take the clearance seems responsible to me. It really does. The refusal to risk his freedom while remaining effective without it is the responsible thing to do. Pierre has a wife and young children, and keeping himself out of prison while they rely on him to keep being effective for the sake of their freedom and future. I mean, it just seems like the responsible thing to do, doesn't it? I mean, will he take flack for it? Yes, every day, and he does, and it's just nonstop, and people are stupid. We all understand. Anytime anyone runs out of things to complain about, well, Pierre Poilievre just keeps winning. We'll bring up security clearance as if that's some kind of perpetual own, and it just isn't. Whether your name is, I don't know, one of the influencers or a member of parliament who happens to be in charge of the ethics committee, I mean, come on now. Come on now, we all know who I'm talking about. I'm not going to say their names. I don't want to make it personal. They're friend of the show. In fact, the MPs who got the clearance are far more of a liability to their parties and their families than Pierre ever will be to his. And as a father myself, I'd say that's the kind of leader I'd like to follow. Not because it's principle, but because living under the thumb of someone incentivized to shut you up seems like a bad thing for an opposition leader to do. More importantly, someone who knows how not to live under someone's thumb while freedom of movement is literally required to be effective in the position you hold is pretty admirable. See, what the Supreme Court of Canada's ruling does is give the Prime Minister the ability to use legal lawfare against those who criticize him for anything not already public knowledge that he doesn't say is in the public's best interest to know. That's what that means. And when you're dealing with a party like the Liberal Party who plays around so liberally, you see how the names connect? Who plays around so liberally with words and their meanings, the last thing you want to do is have a checklist of legal authority they can use to put you in jail, which is essentially what this ruling does. It's like Pierre can see into the future. It's like he's seen this act before. You see how that might have been a problem for Pierre Poilievre. You see how that might not have worked out so well for him or really for Canada or any of the MPs who were on those committees. I mean, it's probably in Pierre's best interest not to know those things, so that not go to the briefing, so that if he happens to stumble over one of those things by accident or while using his brain, I mean, no one can claim that he's saying anything that he wasn't supposed to say because he didn't even know. He just figured it out, like smart people do. Now, you can say that he should probably know these things, and you're right. He probably should. He probably should. The good news is that if something comes up that Pierre simply cannot live without knowing, it's more than likely that the information should be public information anyway. So, I mean, that solves that. All you have to do is drop the confidential level down to a place where Pierre can know it, and now he can know it. And I wonder if this might be why certain members of the media and government might be trying to frame Pierre as if he's losing the support of his base. I don't know. What do you think? What do you think? Can you see the logic there, or am I out of my mind? Do you think maybe some of these numbers might be a little tilted? Do you think maybe at some point reality started to catch up to the creative accounting a little bit, and someone on the inside panicked a little bit and started to skew things a little too much? Maybe his approval dropped so low because someone hit the wrong button? Maybe it's not because his approval is actually, you know, tanking. I'm not accusing anyone of anything here. Just to be clear, I'm using my eyes and ears to see and hear things that actually exist and are possible. Not to point fingers or say anything is happening for real. I just point to the 90% party support he got during his leadership review. The legacy and red-colored media was frothing at the mouth for him to have. It turns out the party is pretty solidly behind him, aside from the few who decided to defect. And let's be honest, they would have done that anyways. They would have done that anyways. Let me say that again. They would have done that anyways. And you can point to Pierre's numbers being low outside his base, but I want to point this out. When polled about who the top 10 prime ministers in Canadian histories are, Canadians actually apparently thought that Kim Campbell and John Turner were number 9 and 10 of the list of most historically relevant prime ministers in our nation's 150-year lifespan. Credibility shot. Yeah, so basically, in our 150-year history, two prime ministers who weren't even elected contributed more to this country's development in their 6 months of combined service than John A. Macdonald and Alexander Mackenzie did when they enabled Confederation. Right, sure, definitely. When given the choice between the foundation of Canada and taking over because the elected minister was failing, we chose failing. That's Canada. So no, I'm not sure I care about the polls or the numbers or where Pierre's numbers are right now. What I care about, and what I think most people care about, is that he keeps himself in a spot where he doesn't get himself caught up in the political wheelings and dealings of the professional feelings merchants currently trying to guilt the country into supporting some pretty wild and crazy bills being waved around by our wannabe founding fathers up there in grand old Ottawa. But I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, you'll have to subscribe and wait an hour before you can do that. But I mean, it's best to start that timer now than wait till later. No, don't you think? I mean, who knows? You might still be mad in an hour, or maybe I'll change your mind. And if you agree, that even gives you time to manufacture the banger of a comment that will get you everyone's attention. That will get everyone's attention to get them to change their minds. Who knows? Maybe you'll make the difference. Anyways, I'll see you in the comments section with your newly minted subscription, and as always, well thought opinions on this matter. This is a video about allowing people to do their jobs without tying their hands. If you can't identify with that, I don't know who can. And remember, this is all comedic and satirical commentary. I have no way to know if I'm right. It just feels like I might be. It feels like the possibility exists. Therefore, I will say it, and if it ends up being true, well, then you're listening to the right guy. Bully for you. I mean, that's kind of like listening to Pierre if you think about it.